Hey guys, I'm back with the Mazda rx7-r1 from Tamiya in 1/24 scale. Let me show you where I'm at this point and a couple of things we're going to get done while we're here. As you remember in the last video, I was trying to add some detail to the door panels, which pretty much had none. Well, I got that done, and while I'm not 100% happy with it, it was a quick bit of tinkering that I did here to add something to the door panels. And like I said, I'm not 100% happy with it, but it does keep it from having just a blank door card. Let me just let you get a good look at it here. Let's see if we can zoom in on that there. There we go. We now have a grab handle on the doors, similar to, we have one on each side. Not the greatest bit of detailing that I've ever added to a car, but when the car is sealed up, and I did paint them the same color as the door panels, that they blend in a little bit more. But when you have the body of the car on it with the roof overhead blocking the light, this is what I'm going for. Just giving you a impression that there is something there more than just just a solid wall of plastic. As you can see, the light kind of catches the door handle, the door pull, and the shape of the trim piece there, which just adds that little bit of detail that I thought was missing. Let's take a look at it on the driver's side. Let's do this here. Well, on the driver's side, it's a little harder to see since it's at the steering wheel and everything in the way. But you can see there it is. If you look into the car, you'll see a little bit of light reflecting off of those parts that I put there, which just gives your eye the impression that there is some detail there, which in my opinion makes it look a lot better than what it was. So like I said, not the greatest bit of detail work, but it was a compromise to get done in a reasonable amount of time without me completely fabricating a whole new piece or cutting open the interior tub here to add details. So I can live with it. So that's as far as we're getting there. Now let's move on to the next portion. Okay, here we have the tires. Now they are really well made. I mean, you even have the tire sizes, the tire brand on there, if you can make that out. These are 225 50 ZR18, no, 325 50 ZR18, I think. Advan. These are Michelins? Are they Michelins? Alright, can't really tell what they are, but they do have that nice detailing there. We'll have to take a closer look at that next time and see exactly what kind of tires they are. Now, one thing you have to be aware of with this kit is that the tires are directional. So you will have to put them on the right corners of the car. So you can't forget that. Now, even though they're really well molded, and if you can take a look at this tread pattern, it's got a really nice tread pattern, very realistic. But you can see the mold seam here right in the middle of the tire. So we're going to have to get rid of that and also give the tire a little more of a realistic appearance. And this is how I'm going to accomplish that. Basically, I have my handy dandy snap-on screw gun that I use for all of my automotive work. And what we're going to do is we're going to spin it up against a 320 grit piece of sanding film. Now what that's going to do is it's going to help us sand down that center mark, that center ridge there from the mold that they made the tires with. And it's also going to give us a wear pattern on the tread itself to look as if like a real tire would. So let's go ahead and give this a shot here. Basically, we're just going to run it up on the sandpaper. So as you're running it, you're actually wearing off some of the rubber, just like a real tire. Apply a little bit of pressure. You don't want to go too far because you don't want a bald tire, because that would be bad. I think here we have basically what we're looking for. Okay, now as you can see, that center seam is pretty much gone. We're going to have to do a little more work on this tire, but it is pretty much gone so that it'll have a much more realistic appearance. I'm just going to have to even out the wear. As you can see, some of the tread hasn't contacted the sandpaper yet. So let's give it another go. There we go. That's a little bit better. And there we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the other 3 tires, and then we'll be back. Okay, now we're back, and as you can see here, now we have some simulated wear on the tires. A little bit of water there, as I had to wash them off to get all the excess material off it. But now we have the tires, all 4 have a decent wear pattern on them. So you can tell that this car has been driven. Now, if you really want to get even more realistic, you can wear down the 2 rear tires more than the fronts, as they will wear more since this is a rear-wheel drive car. But we're not going quite that far. Alright, now, as I was saying before, these tires are directional, so they all have to face, the tread has to face in the same direction. You can see here, let me see if I can point out what I mean here. Okay, I don't have a BG pointer like one of my favorite YouTubers does. A little BG. Yeah, I'm talking to you, BG. I don't have one of those, but I do just have a copper rod here, so I can show you what I'm talking about. You can see here, the tread pattern comes to a point here and here. That point is the direction of travel of the tire. You can see this was facing forward, so it's going to roll forward. It's going to roll forward to move the car forward, and it's going to work as it's intended, dispelling water and gripping the road. So this one's facing forward, this one's facing forward. If you take a look at this one here, this is an example of the tire facing the wrong way. The point of the tread is facing this way instead of that way. Alright, can you see that there? This is the point of the tread here and the point of the tread there. So all of these tires are facing the right way except for this one. There we go. Now we have the tread patterns all facing the same way, which is in the real car, so that you'll have all the tires in a proper orientation when you put them on the car. Now you just have to remember this. Luckily, these tires don't have, all you have to worry about is the tread pattern. So let's install them on the wheels now. It's just a simple rubber tire, nice fit there, and we're going to drop them right on the wheel. We still have to do a little bit of work on the wheels themselves. But here we have this wheel here, tire facing this way, so this is going to be a right side wheel. There we go. The wheel will be going to the right. There we go. All right. Now we'll come back with the next. Okay, now we have the last one mounted. So there we go, mounted and balanced. Beautiful. If you really want to add more detail to it, you can put tiny pieces in here and make it seem as if there are wheel weights in here. Now, I'm not going to do that, but you could. And here we go. There's our tire in a proper orientation. I think we have that in the right orientation. Let me see. I might have gotten that one wrong. That's correct. That's correct. Nope, this one's backwards. This one's going to go on the left rear. So I have the tire facing backwards. So just easy enough. Just pull the tire off. Great thing about the way Tamiya mounts their tires to the wheels. Mount it off, turn it around. And right back on. And here we go. Now we have our tire facing the right way. As you can see, now the tread is facing forward. So now we have all of our tires facing in the proper orientation. We just have to make sure that when we put them on the car, that we put them on in the right spot. All right, that takes care of mounting the tires. Now we're going to do a little bit of detail work. We're going to use some Tamiya panel line accent. That's the brown. That's not the one we want. And we're just going to highlight a little bit of the detail work on here. And here we go. And we're going to do that with the black. It's going to simulate a little bit of, going to add a little bit of shadows and simulate a little bit of brake dust on the rim. All just to bring out the highlights. Now, I like to do this, and I keep a Q-tip handy of various sizes to get into the nooks and crannies in case I have to clean out what I put in there. All right, get a little bit of the excess off. Now we're just gonna basically just have to touch it where you want the panel line paint to go, and just let it work itself into all the recesses. I love this stuff as it brings a realism to the piece by adding details, shadows that normally wouldn't appear, and just adds scale to the part you're working on. So I like to go over it on all the recesses. And let it sink in there. And here you can see how much more realistic that wheel looks compared to this one. Takes the toy out of it, as I like to say. So I'm going to work on the other ones, and then I'll be right back. Okay, guys, here we are back with the entire process carried out on all four wheels. And as you can see here, they definitely look much more realistic, as if they're have been used. It's a little bit of brake dust on them. The guy's been running the car, having a good time with it. So that little bit of detailing just brings out all of the fine engraving that Tamiya has put into these wheels. It looks really good. At least I think so. And I should, because I just did it. Alright. Now we're going to go ahead and install the wheels on the car after I hit the camera. So let's come right back with that. Alright, guys. Here we have one wheel is already mounted. I'm going to show you exactly what I did to get that on there, sitting straight. Now, Tamiya uses what they call poly caps, which are small little nylon caps that sit inside the hubs of their cars. It's a really good way to mount the wheels and tires onto a car. You just have to be careful when you're inserting the pegs. If you look on the back of each wheel, there's a long peg. Where are we here? And that peg goes into the hub and sits in the poly cap that's behind the brake rotor. So now, what I like to do when I'm going in is that you can't just push your way in there, because it takes a little bit of effort to get them to go in. And if you just brute force it all the way in, you're going to probably end up ripping out your rear suspension. So what I like to do is I put a little pressure on it and I spin it just to like evenly distribute the pressure that I'm putting on, and then it'll just go right in and bottom out. And it really is a good idea the way Tamiya does this, as it gives you a free rolling wheel. I don't know how much you guys really want your wheels to roll. For me, it doesn't make a difference one way or the other if they do or don't, as these are not toys that I'm building, but display pieces. And I'm more interested as to whether the steering works or not than if the wheels roll. But if they're made that way, I kind of like to put them together the way Tamiya intended. So, all right, let's go. We're going to install our next wheel and tire. Always remember, make sure that your tires are in the proper orientation for where they sit on the car. All right, there we go. We're going to press it in, just slight pressure, going in and spinning at the same time. It's getting there. There we go. You'll feel it just pop right in as it seats down. It is a little nerve-wracking because it does feel like you're going to rip the suspension right out of the car. So it's something that you're glad that you'll be done with when it's over. All right, here we have the last one. Wish me luck. And that one popped right in beautifully. Now, the beauty of this method of mounting the wheels and tires is that if your suspension is off center for any reason and one of your tires or one of your wheels or tires are sitting too far in, there is some adjustability there, and unless you do what I did there, and the poly cap comes off with the rotor right in the back of your wheel. That can happen. As you see, it just did. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the brake caliper and rotor, or we can just glue it right back in, as it's pretty easy to just put a little bit of glue on there and pop it right back in there. As there's a small tab, let me show you here. There's a small tab here, and that tab keys in to the back of the rotor there. So by just putting a little bit of super glue here, you can basically just seat it all back on there, and then you're good to go. There you go. So you see, this is live model making. Things do go wrong. All right, let me take care of that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Got a little super glue set up here. So what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of super glue on a toothpick. And then I'm going to carefully apply the super glue on the hub. As you want it on the hub, you don't want it to go into the hub, because that way it'll glue if you want the wheels to turn. You don't want to glue the poly cap to the hub Just give it a nice amount of super glue there. And we are back on. Now I just have to let it sit there. Let's make sure that the brake caliper looks good there. It's in the same orientation as the other side. Yes, it is. Okay, so we're going to let that sit and dry, which it seems like it's already doing. This is why I love using CA glue for certain things. And we're just going to sit the chassis down, make sure our wheels are square. 1 second on the camera there. We want to make sure that our wheels are square, everything's sitting. And as usual, Tamiya stuff lines up perfectly. So there you go, guys. That's how you mount wheels and tires to a Tamiya model. All these years, and they're still using pretty much the same procedure for mounting their wheels and tires. I do notice that. You'll notice that this wheel and tire seem to be set in further than this one. So hopefully that won't be too visible once the body's on the car. As I did have an issue with the rear subframe and the fact that it was warped in the box. This kit has been sitting in a closet for over 20 years. And it might have gotten hot there, and some of the pieces might have been misformed and misshapen due to the heat. I managed to get everything to sit square, but when I was installing the rear subframe, I did have a little bit of trouble lining everything up. So hopefully this won't be an issue when it comes time to mount the body. Or it won't be too noticeable that this is sitting just slightly more inboard than this wheel. We look at it from the top. It does seem a tad noticeable here. Let's just make sure that we have this wheel here seated all the way. Yeah, it appears to be in all the way. Alright, we'll have to see how it fits with the body. So why don't we just do a test fit now. Let's take a look and see how our wheels and tires are going to sit with the body. And oops, we're not lined up properly here. Okay, here's one thing you're going to have to be aware of when you're coming in. Make sure you keep the exhaust on the outside, not on the inside like I just did. Okay, there's a tab on the rear that slides into the body there. Okay, that's properly aligned now. And now we're going to pop it right in, and there she goes. She sits nicely inside the body. Now let's just take a look at the wheels and tires there. Fronts look good. The rears look good. This one is just set in slightly more than that one. I don't know if you can really see it here. It's not really going to be too much of an issue as yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be too much of an issue. As if you look back here, it is a little noticeable, but I don't think it's going to be something to the point where I have to rip the entire car apart and reassess that. Once the super glue sets up, I will try just nudging this wheel out a little bit if I can do that without ripping the caliper off again. If not, then we're going to pretty much just have to leave it that way. As I said, this is not the fault of anything wrong with the kit. It's more along the lines of the fact that that rear subframe is a little deformed from all the years it's spent sitting in the box. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. Let's take a look at this side here. Yeah, I think we got a pretty decent fit. Alright guys, I think that's going to do it for this video. Don't want to go on too long, just wanted to put a little bit of a face to these procedures and show you how I do it. So that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys sat through it and hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know, give me a like. Give the video a like, a thumbs up. Let me know if you guys have run into this with this kit. And Paul, over at International Scale Modelers, you guys should check him out. He is just starting this exact same build, and he is a pro at this. So I'm going to be real interested to see how he does with this one. So if you see this video, Paul, just give me a little shout out there, and looking forward to seeing how you handle this car. Alright, that's it guys. I'm going to end this video here, and I guess I'll see you on the next one.